Hello there. So today I'm going to introduce the evolution of the popular big leaf hydrangea, also known as the macrophylla. So there are many popular brands out there in the industry, and probably the most famous one. One is from the Endless Summer, and the other is from the Proven Winner series. And there are include many subsidiaries like Let's Dance series, Cityline and Wee Bit. I will going to introduce them separately in the following sections. First, I want to introduce the key breeder behind this Endless Summer series, whose name is called Michael. He's a professor from the University of Georgia and is a very famous for its leading expert on trees and shrub, and especially on the hydrangea area. And along with his two partners, he first established a company of his own called Plant Introduction. And later on, he sold this company to the Bailey Nurseries, who is actually the holder of this endless summer patent. As you all know that the endless summer original is actually the first hydrangea with the capability to rebloom on both new wood and old wood. And this is a hydrangea with a very long history. It first discovered in 1983. You can see that this endless original series has claimed the patent in 2004, and the inventor is called Vanner Glenn, and the assignee is the Bailey Nurseries. And the cultivar name is called the Baymer. You can see the bay is actually coming from the Bailey nursery, I guess. So this original hydrangea has the ability to bloom on both new and old wood, so that it has more hardness capabilities, and it claimed to be okay in zone 4. Talking about the background of these inventions, so the inventor discovered this new cultivar called Baymer in cultivated garden in St. Paul, Minnesota in the summer of 1983. But unfortunately, the parental background of this Baymer is unknown, so that we cannot trace back to its male or the female parent. After finishing introduce the original series, then let's go to the second generation of this endless summer series, which is called the twist and shout big leaf hydrangea. So you can see here, after 5 years since the original series launched, in 2009, the Michael, who is the key breeder I introduced before, he hybrid a new varieties called this twist and shout in 2009, and it features the upright and round and spreading growth habits, also inherit with the capability of reblooming. But the biggest difference I would say is the bright pink leaf cap inflorescences, in contrast with the previous mob head in the original series. And the cultivar name is called PIIHM, the version 1. For this twist shout, it's not a direct hybrid from the original hydrangea and endless summer. Instead, it's actually a hybrid between the two varieties. The male parent is called Penny Mac, and the female parent is called Lady in Hat, while only the female parent is a patent. After 6 years, Michael he continued to hybrid, and there's a new variety coming out. It's called the Bloom Strike. Um, you can see this Bloom Strike is also still very popular in the market. So every time when you go to the garden center, you probably It's patented in 2015, and the unique characters I would say is the dark pink mob head inflorescences. Also, it could be the violet, purple. It depends on the pH value of your soil. And if you still remember, the twist and shout is actually lace cap, but for this one, it's actually a mob head, hydrangea. And from the cultivar name, you can see it's very similar to the twist and shout. It's called the PIIHM, but now it's the version 2. The reason why it's called version 2 is because it's a direct hybrid from the version 1. You can see from here, the version 1 served as a female, but the male parent is still unknown because it's originated from an open pollination. So there is a little chance for you to determine which one is actually the male parent. In 2019, endless summer, they have a new variety coming out. It's called the Summer Crush. And I would call it the fourth generation of the endless summer because they usually give out the new varieties every 5 years. And this one is the most recent update. This new variety's cultivar name is called Bill McFly and still invented by Michael and his two partners, and is directly assigned to the Bailey Nurseries after they sold his own companies to the Bailey Nursery. And for these new varieties, I think the biggest improvement is the size. Now, comparing to its previous varieties, now it's much more compact. This Summer Crush is a hybrid between the Bloomstrike and also another hydrangea cultivar called the Hot Red, which is not patented. Let's take a quick summary here. The endless summer original doesn't have a direct bloodline with its successor. However, for the later on varieties like Twist and Shout, Bloomstruck, and the Summer Crush, they have a direct parent-to-child relationship, which means that they should share more similarities than the original. And that could also explain why on the Endless Summer official website, you can see the original series are still a pretty big sell. It still has its own quite unique features and loved by many customers even after 20 years history. Now let's move on to another very popular brand, which is Proven Winners, and they have many subsidiary series such as Let's Dance, Cityline, and also the Wee Bit. As you may not notice before, the Proven Winner Let's Dance series is actually a hybrid child from the Endless Summer original series, where it gets the ability to rebloom, also, which means the flower can be seen on both new and old wood. Just like Michael behind the Endless Summer series, there is also a very important breeder behind the Proven Winner Hydrangea series, whose name is called Tim Wood. He's the product development and the head of marketing of the Spring Meadow Nursery, and his task is to find the new and exclusive shrub varieties. He joined the Spring Meadow since 1995, and the Hydrangea series is one of his contributions. Actually, Spring Meadow is the exclusive provider of the color choice of the Proven Winner shrub a business line. Somehow, the Spring Meadow Nursery probably has some deal with the Bailey Nursery, so they continue to hybrid based on the Endless Summer original series, and later on they have a new product line called the Let's Dance series, and the Starlight and the you can say that this cultivar name is actually called Lin, and for the Moonlight, the cultivar name is called Robert. Very cute name. And they are coming out around the same time when the Endless Summer, they have the twist and shout hydrangea. You can see now the inventors or the breeder is called Timothy Wood, and it features lots of similarities with the Endless Summer original hydrangea, such as the capability of the reblooming, and also it has a lace cap type inflorescences and a very intense pink color flowers. So this new hydrangea originated from the open pollinations in 2003, and the female parent is the Beamer. Um, if you ring a bell, then you will notice that Beamer is the cultivar name of the Endless Summer original hydrangea, and the male parent is still unknown. Now let's talk about a variety called Diva, which is actually the second generation of the Let's Dance series. You can see it has a very big pink lace-capped inflorescences. It's patented in 2014, which is around the similar time when the Endless Summer they have the bloom strike. It's still from the same process when they get the starlight. So they use the open pollinations between the Lin and another male parent called ES5, ES5 is not a patent hydrangea, but Lin, which is the cultivar name of the Starlight less dense series. Within 1 year, they have a new variety called less dense rhythmic blue. This new variety has a very early flowering habit, along with the large mob head type inflorescences. And also it has a very good winter hardiness. And that's the reason why is because it's a direct hybrid from the Beamer, which is the And 1 year later, in 2016, the Let's Dance series has a new member, which is called a Reeve. It seems like pro winners, they like to have a rapid development at the endless summer. They usually have a new varieties coming out every other year. It has a compact, upright, and outward spreading and molding plant habit. Also, it has a pretty strong and sturdy stems. Reeve is actually a direct hybrid from the Robert, which is the cultivar name of the Moonlight hydrangea, if you still remember. And surprisingly, within the same year, there's another new variety called the Blue Jungle added to the Let's Dance series. Blue Jungle probably one of the most compact big leaf hydrangeas in the industries. The female parent of this new variety is coming from Robert, which is the Moonlight Let's Dance hydrangea, and the male parent is a ES1, which is the non-patent hydrangea. Now let's talk about the latest or the third generation of the Let's Dance series, which there are 3 new varieties coming out in 2020 or 2021. The first one is called the Big Band. You can see the patent date is in the late 2020, so it's still pretty new. And also from the name suggested, you can probably guess it has extra large inflorescences comparing to the other regular or the previous varieties out there. So for this Big Band, it actually has a half blood from the European hydrangea. You can see the female parent is called Cityline Lisbon, probably is also one of the Cityline Hydrangea in the Purple Winter series. And the male parent is called Wheat Lefevre. Another new variety coming out this year is called Let's Dance Can Do. This is not a typical macrophylla or the big leaf hydrangea. It actually belongs to the mountain hydrangea species. And because of its mountain hydrangea characteristics, it can adapt to the colder environment. You can see, in contrast with other regular Let's Dance series, this one it claims to doing well between the zone 4 to zone 9. So if you live in a colder region, you probably can consider these new varieties. One unique characteristic of this can-do hydrangea is that instead of flowering only on the tip of the branch, it can also have the flowers in any nodes or any buds along the branch. So even though the winter harsh chill can kill some buds in the tip, but still in the summer, you will get lots of flowers from the side of the branch. You can see here there's no bloodline from the big leaf hydrangea. The female parent is called MAK20 and it belongs to the hydrangea serrata, which is the alias of the mountain hydrangea, and the male parent is still unknown. Now let's move on to another section, which is the Cityline series of the proven winner hydrangea. Let's take an example of the Cityline Paris. So for this typical hydrangea, it's actually bred by a German breeder called Franz Axver, and it filed a US patent in 1999. So it has a very, very long history, even longer than the endless summer. The typical use of this Cityline hydrangea is to plant them in a container, indoor or outdoor. And because of its early growth, so you can probably see it in the early spring in the garden center near you. Because this hydrangea is developed a very long time ago, and the German breeder they already lost track of which the male parent or the female parent of this Cityline Paris hydrangea is. There are many more popular Cityline hydrangeas out there. There are pros and cons for this Cityline hydrangea. And the pros is that they have a very bright color of the flowers, and the size is very compact. So you can put them in the pots or in the containers for the arrangements. But the cons is that they are not hardy enough, especially they only bloom on the old wood. So unlike the endless summer, if the winter is very harsh, then you probably not see any flowers in the next summer. So after we introduce the Cityline and the Less Than series, then you will notice their own unique characteristics. So the Cityline is the European hydrangea and a very compact size and a very bright color. And for the Less Dense, they inherited the advantage from the endless summer, so they have capability of the reblooming. So I'm very excited to see the proven winner. They have a new lines of hydrangea coming out this year. It's called the Wee Bit. So it's a hybrid between the Cityline and the Let's Dance. So naturally, you would expect it has enjoyed the benefit from these two hydrangeas. You can see from here that this Wee Bit kitty is a hybrid child from the Let's Dance Reef and the Cityline Terrace. As you can see, we already introduced a lot of different hydrangea varieties coming from different breeder, like the Endless Summer or the Proven Winner series. So there are so many hydrangeas to choose from, but which one suits our need? Which one fits your garden? So there are few takeaways from my own experience. The first one is that it's always better to choose a more recent generation of hydrangea, hybrid varieties, which usually they are aimed or developed to be improved versions of the older varieties. So in the garden center, if you see both the new and older varieties, then I will recommend to choose the newer ones. The second thing is that if you live in a colder region, in zone 4 or in zone 5, then choose a more compact hydrangea is more important because their size is more compact, which also means that they require less time to rebloom or growth, and there is a less chance for the bud to be killed during the winter chill. So with some proper winter protections, then you will expect lots of blooms in the next summer. And the third one is that Cityline series original from the traditional European hydrangeas, which is more suitable for the indoor or container arrangement, and they are only bloom in old wood. So if you want to put your hydrangeas in your front porch, then I would recommend to use the Cityline. But if you want to use this hydrangea as a landscape, then I would recommend to use either the Endless Summer or the Let's Dance series. The last but not least is that the Let's Dance share the blind line of the Endless Summer, and their reblooming performance is relatively similar. So considering the higher marketing cost of the Endless Summer, and usually the Endless Summer hydrangea is much more expensive than the Let's Dance series, then choosing a cheaper one is probably a good alternative.